Yo, what's going on, my fellow Tigers fans? Welcome to my channel. My name is Anubis, the Game Archer. Hope you all are enjoying these more recent little sport videos. We upload a little more consistent here on the sport channel. We're actually ready to move, so it's going to be a pause on all content. But if you're watching play video games, I do stream on Twitch. Link to the description box below. I do have other channels, a primary gaming channel. All of those be attached to a link tree. Click the link if you want to follow my other channels. But today's video, I want to do a follow-up video to my last video that we had, which talked about Tigers. I want to talk about what are some trade ideas that I personally have, like, because I mentioned in the video you can do some things with like Tyler O'Neill and things like that. But today I want to go like into a deeper conversation on how I will fix the Tigers. So I'm going to do that with the demonstration of MLB The Show 2023, or just 2023. And we're going to just go through and then put some trades together, and I'll show you guys some trades that I've done. Now, one of the trades that I did isn't a trade that I would actually do in this game in terms of what I would want to do, but it's basically what I would want the Tigers to do because of their situation. And a lot of things when it comes to like trades, you got to consider is what is the current situation that the team is, and what that situation is could dictate what their team needs are. For example, in MLB The Show, it's a video game. The team doesn't have the same needs they would in real life. They don't have the same plights, same issues. Example being Austin Meadows. Austin Meadows, he basically missed all of last season because of some personal things he was dealing with. This season he's missing again because of mental health reasons. So it's like that's not a thing in a video game. So Austin Meadows is going to be Austin Meadows in the game, and you won't have the hitting issues that the Tigers have right now. But realistically, when it comes to real life, you now do need to make some kind of decision when it comes to Austin Meadows and what to do with his position. Currently, they kind of like have Kerry Carpenter and Cuba do rotating in at left field. Sometimes Kerry goes to right field when they're not playing Matt Verley, but that's not that's consistent. And though Kerry is doing pretty well so far when it comes to hitting, you want some more consistency. You also want someone who can be your consistent day-to-day starter on your left field side. So some of the trades that I'm making this video are trades that I'm making based on what I think the Tigers need. Tigers need someone to play left field because Austin Meadows, I think it's time to move past that project. And Akil Baddoo is the answer, and Kerry, maybe he won't be the answer, but maybe he's just a good backup. Tigers also need a pretty good center. A pretty good catcher. Jake Rogers. He has a habit of hitting some bombs, but he's pretty inconsistent and also very passive. Eric Haas, much like Rogers, can hit bombs, but also massively inconsistent. Eric Haas is like you get two things when it comes to Eric Haas when he's batting. Either it's going to be a home run or it's going to be an embarrassing strikeout. That's basically what Eric Haas is. You're going to see a home run or an embarrassing strikeout when it comes to Eric Haas. So we made some decisions based on needing a catcher. He's one on left field. Like I said before, the Tigers need a real DH. Tigers don't have a DH. You have Miguel Cabrera, who's retiring at the end of the year, and he's old, and he's not someone you want to have as your day-to-day DH. Again, you think about DHs, you're thinking about people who their job is to just hit the ball. Your job is to come in here, make sure we get these guys from home bases to home plate. Your job is to go in here, hit some home runs, hit just dingers, hit these home runs, get some doubles, bounce the ball off the walls, whatever. Just go in there and hit. That's what you're expecting from your DH. We don't have that. Even when it comes to when we have someone come in and plays with making, no one who the Tigers have come in is that person you'll say is your go-to DH. There's no replacement DH right now on the team for the Tigers. I'm missing trades in the game that I feel like the Tigers could do, to bring in to fix the DH problem. I mentioned in the last video, you can ways you can do it. Now the person who I chose in this video doesn't have to be the person who the Tiger shows. I chose this person because of personal reasons involving him being a Tiger beforehand. He played for the Tigers a few years ago. I want him to come back to the Tigers. Also, I'm going to mention in this video, I want to compare this team and these examples to the Tigers of old. This isn't like the Tigers would never make these trades, never do these decisions. That's not entirely true. A few years ago, we're talking like, we want to say prime Miguel Cabrera Tigers, prime Justin Verlander Tigers. So we're talking like between 2010 and like 2013, 2014, one of those years. Basically, like Mike Ilitch just told Dave Dombrowski, go out there and build a team who made the playoffs and win a title. Now they didn't win a title, but during the stretch of time, the Tigers were the favorite every single year. to be in the World Series or to win it all, because the team was stacked. And the team was stacked because the team got aggressive. Mike Ilitch was like, we need a good team. Go out there and find some people to make this team good. So I got the names and things pulled up. We're going to talk about all these choices the team made in this video. So you can have like a good understanding on what we're dealing with when it comes to Tigers. So to start things off, in 2011, the Tigers they brought back Brandon Inge, who was a good Tigers player. They brought back Johnny Peralta. They signed Joaquin Benoit. You know, Tigers have always been a team who had like a weird, you know, bad bullpen. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. They signed Victor Martinez to a 4-year contract. They re-signed Magley. They brought in Ryan Rayburn. You know, Joel Zamaya was still doing pretty good before the Tar Heel incident. They also have Phil Koch as a closer. You know, like the question mark for that season was when they traded Amanda Galarraga. They traded him to Arizona for like 2 people who didn't even stay on the team that long. So that was a rough year, but the team was looking pretty good. You had Alex Avila and Victor Martinez as the catchers. We had Miggy, you know, this is around prime Miggy. You know, Carlos Guillen. Again, we had Ron Santiago. Like he came in a clutch here and there. He had Delman Young, who was pretty good for Tigers, Ordonez, and you know, this is around the time of Austin Jackson was still pretty decent. And then pitching, you know, again, the Tigers pitching. Seems like the Tigers always have some pretty solid pitching, even when they're a bad team or a good team. They didn't always have good pitching. Like we had Doug Fister, obviously had Brian Verlander. This wasn't when we have Rick Porcello, who wasn't the greatest pitcher, but he was really good at getting ground outs. Max Scherzer, Jose Valverde was pretty solid as a closer here and there. And he's kind of like Gregory Soto, where it's like he might freaking go out here, be lights out, and get you 3 strikeouts for a close, and he might blow a save. You know, that year started off pretty bad for us because that's the year where Victor Martinez tore his ACL, so you know that was rough. But the big thing that happened in 2012 was, you know, when we were the Tigers flexed that they were ready to make a splash, and that was by signing a 9-year, $214 million deal with Prince Fielder. So and it kind of reminds me of like Javi Baez. Like we feel like we're a good team, or we could be good. So he signed Javi Baez, and Chris Ilitch is saying we're not rebuild. So you know, maybe he'll make the same. Maybe the Baez splash is like the first thing before he decides to be like his dad and start making decisions. And that comes to like trusting the GM, because Dave Dombrowski, you know, a lot of his contracts are pretty you know, weird, but Dave Dombrowski got the job done during these few years and making the Tigers a better team. And on that year, our pitching got even better. Our pitching was even better that year. We still had Doug Fister, still had Max Scherzer, still had Justin Verlander. Anibal Sanchez, you know, showed up, and you know, he was a dark horse when it came to the Tigers team. Drew Simley, you know, who recently almost had a perfect game that got broken up by his catcher. He was on that 2012 team. The following year, because that's the year when Jim Leland, you know, stepped down as the manager of the team, and Brad Osmus came in, you know, to like basically try to like, you know, get this team over the hump. And the team was still a good year. It wasn't an amazing year for Tigers that year, but again, we went to the playoffs and stuff like that. We won the division. But the big roster changes that happened that year. We signed Joe Nathan. You know, because again, Tigers every single year, Tigers were trying to find someone who could be the team's closer. And this year, it was like, okay, let's see if Joe Nathan can be the guy. They also signed Jabba the Hutt that year too, because it's like, okay, let's see if he can help with the bullpen. But that year we had Nick Castellanos, again, someone who's a good player on another team now. So it's like the Tigers keep having these good players who are more now known as being good on a different team. We had signed JD Martinez to a minor league contract that year. He ended up becoming like, you know, a good player for us down the line. And basically, you know, you're going to see in this video, the person who I chose as our should be DH. You know, the big things that we did in terms of trades, we traded Prince Fielder for Ian Kinsler, which, you know, Ian Kinsler was actually really good for the Tigers, and Fielder, he was battling injuries. So it's like, okay, the Prince Fielder Miguel Cabrera thing isn't working out, so you know, let's try some different thing. We also traded Doug Fister that year as well. But that's also like the final trade that happened that year that's like of note was when we got David Price. So the team that had Max Scherzer and Anibal Sanchez and Rick Porcello and Verlander had got David Price. So it's like this team is just freaking stacked. But the biggest thing I want to point out, we're not going to like spend too much team development in the past. We're going to go into like the modern things that with the team, what I think the team can do to like make better. And the whole point here is there was a time period during 2010 and 2013, 2014 where Tigers were making decisions, making splashes to be a better team. And right now, this team isn't doing that. This team's being very patient. People are like, well, they're Tigers. They can't afford to. Like, they can. They just won't. Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like the owner is cheap and just won't do what his dad did during that time period, where he's just like, okay, let's go out here, have the GM go get these players. Like, I have trust in you, Dave Dombrowski, get the players. Chris isn't doing that with Scott Harris, where it's like, I have trust in you, Scott, make this a playoff team. So what are some changes or some things that Chris Ilitch and Scott Harris can do to kind of bolster the team and make them a competitor? Well, you can look around the league and just make some phone calls. Like the first thing, that's the first step. The first step is make some phone calls, see who's available, see who is teams willing to trade, and if someone's available, ask what is their starting price. Obviously you have to do some negotiation and see where you can meet in the middle ground, but trying to figure things out. And yes, this is a video game, and video games don't work in the way of realism. So some of the trade might be far-fetched and things like that. Some trades might even be worse than that. So I'm going to show you what I would do as a realistic trade for the first person, but I will also say this isn't the trade that I actually did in the game, because in the game they wanted less. They took less than that. So we're going to talk about the Padres and Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, from all stretches of the words, the Padres say that they want to build around Tatis Jr. and he's not available. But if I'm the Tigers, I'm making that phone call to see if we could get Tatis on the team. I think partner him with Javi Baez would be amazing. If whether you have Tatis play third base or have him play left field, whatever, you could put Austin Meadows in that deal if you want to. I wouldn't personally, because I feel like that's just I would just let Meadows' contract basically just play out in terms of let it end and things like that, instead of trying to put him in the trades. I feel like no team's going to take him anyways because of the fact that they don't even know if he's going to play again. It's like, who knows? So let's get into the game. All right, so now we got Tigers, Padres, Tatis Jr. This is what our budget looks like before. This isn't like IRL. This isn't the Tigers IRL budget. I've already made trades and deals in this game, so we have more or less money in the game compared to real life. But this is Tatis' contract. Tigers can take that contract. The team is. I based what I was going to do off what the team needs are. The game says Padres need a starting pitcher, a catcher, center field, shortstop, and third baseman. What I went with is these three. I went for what I was think of as, again, we're thinking of a realistic trade. That's the thought process here. What is a realistic trade? So to me, I was like, okay, Tatis is an amazing player. Let's try to fill out these three things in a realistic trade. So went through here, use some music, trying to figure out what starting pitchers am I willing to give up. I'm looking. Do I want to give up Arwado? Like, is Arwado, because his contract's 15 million. He's our ace. Do I want to give up our ace who's playing amazing this year? For Tatis. I'm also thinking that this is what the Padres are going to want. I'm thinking they're going to want our best pitcher, not like anybody else. But I'm still going to try to figure out things on the way. So again, sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, okay, not him, Matt Manning. So Matt Manning, I think Matt Manning is still young. He's 25 years old. His contract is still cheap. Sorry, my side itches. His contract still is pretty cheap. He has a high ceiling, as in he has a lot of potential. There's a lot he can fill out there. He's a very good pitcher, especially when usually he has some injuries that kind of like sidetrack him. But for the most part, when he's consistently playing, he does really good and shows a lot of potential. So like, okay, that'll be a good starting point when it comes to a starting pitcher. He's young, he's good, has a high ceiling for him. He can grow with the Padres. They want to build to be a constant contender for the World Series. He could be someone who they have, in that starting five. On the back end, more likely, because they do have like 2, maybe 3 good starting pitchers. So he will be in that 4 or 5 slot. I think it's a realistic, good selection when it comes to a trade. Now, also, you see the trade feedback. This is telling you that this is fine. They'll take this because they're dumping the 27 million from Tatis' contract for 720 and a young good starting pitcher that they need. So the game's like, they'll take this. And I'll tell you, This is the trade that I did like I did do in the game because I didn't need to give up a lot, but I want to show you what like I said, the goal here is show something that looks more realistic than a video game. This is a video game trade. Tatis for Matt Manning is a video game trade. That's not a realistic trade. So we're looking. Okay, they need more players. Who do we go out? Looking at first baseman, just to look at first base. I'm also just mentally thinking of what are we gonna do here. Look at third base. Go back a little bit. This is a clip that I recorded from the game. We're at third base, needing third base, and I'm like, Ryan Kadire can't really hit. He's struggling when it comes to hitting. Good third baseman. We probably shouldn't get rid of him. Same thing comes to Andy. Andy's he's 29 years old, so he's either going to be decent or this is his ceiling. He's already reached his ceiling. Then they're not going to get Tatis up for someone who already hit his ceiling. Not give Andre. We want to see what he can do. Same thing comes to Cole Keith. We want to see what Cole Keith can turn into. Then we got the shortstops. You're gonna notice if you're a Tigers fan, someone's missing. I traded him before, and I'll show you like all the trades I've done in the game, and I'll explain them. So we're here, and I'm like, okay, we're not trading Javi Baez. We're not trading Nick Matan, who we're gonna sit at second base. So that was like a given. Don't even bother on third base. So this is where we're settled on center, on outfield, and catcher. So we chose Akil Baddoo. So Akil Baddoo, young, great arm, a lot of speed. He struggles against lefties. It's pretty decent against righties. He has so much potential. Akil Baddoo has immense potential to be so good with the right team. The Tigers to me aren't that right team. I think Akil Baddoo on the team with the Padres could fucking flourish, especially with how often he gets on base and how fast he is, how much of a threat he is still a base. You got him on base with guys like freaking like with guys like Juan Soto. Like you're getting runs. Like you're going to be scoring. He's a good player. So we got two good young players who can be part of the Padres for the future, not just somebody who they can rank and things like that. Like no, for the future, the Padres have two good players, people who they can build with that team. Let's keep going. Again, they're fine. Like when it comes to the game will take it regardless. They don't care. So then we're thinking about, all right, who else we're gonna go? We're gonna go catcher. So we're trying to go to catcher. Here's things you're gonna notice. We have Danny Jansen. I traded for Danny Jansen in this game because Tigers need a catcher. And Danny Jansen to me is a good catcher. He's also available. I think all three catchers are available for the Blue Jays. It's more along the lines of which one will get traded. I'm not gonna trade all three of them. I chose Danny Jansen. I think he has the higher upside for the Tigers. The key word here is for the Tigers. Someone might be like Kirk is a better option, but for me, when it comes to Tigers, I think Danny Jansen is a good choice for him. I'll go into that later. So we're at the point where it's like, all right, it's either going to be Charlie Haas, the wrestler. It's either going to be Eric Haas or Jake Rogers. Eric Haas is just camping inconsistent. He's a solid defensive catcher. Not great, but he's a solid defensive catcher. When it comes to him on offense, is like I said before, he's either a home run or a strikeout. And more often than not, it's a strikeout. But yeah, that's what you're running. You're running a catcher who 70% of the time is going to strike out or get grounded to a double play. Then the other 30%, he might hit it on the fence. Maybe less than that. Jake Rogers is kind of the same way, but less strikeouts, more walks, less swinging strikeouts, more strikeout while looking. But I also think that Rogers is a more consistent hitter. He has injury issues, which also is the reason why I wouldn't, if I was the Padres, I wouldn't want Rogers because he has a history of injuries. So if I was them, I'd want Eric Haas. I think he does have that decent upside. I think he has enough decent upside to where you can tolerate the fact that he's going to strike out quite a bit, but also he has that potential to hit over the fence. But again, one of the things that I'm considering, I think either or. I think Eric Haas or Jake Rogers could be in either or. I think I chose Jake Rogers. I would choose Eric Haas IRL, but I think I don't know why I chose Jake Rogers, but I could see Rogers being that spot too because again he's 3 years younger. Again, more consistent hitter. So I found again from the Padres. What are you looking at? You look at the age. Are you looking at who's more consistent? And yeah, you will go Jake Rogers. All right. So this is what my any game day to day lineup looks like. Tatis first, Green second, Baez third, Meadows, JD Martinez. Again, I wouldn't actually want the Tigers to trade for JD Martinez IRL. I made this trade because I feel like the team needed a DH. Tigers should go get a DH. I feel like they should go someone younger than JD. JD played Tigers before, so I kind of had like a fan bias for why I went for JD Martinez because he played for Tigers before. Again, IRL, Tigers do need a DH, but not JD Martinez. Tyler O'Neill, who I think the Tigers definitely should go for. Like again, the people who I think Tigers should definitely make a play for: Tatis, O'Neill, and Jensen. DH, you can honestly freaking have O'Neill play DH if you wanted to. Same thing comes like Tatis. I'm sure he would rather freaking play outfield or third base. So that's what I would do. Like I have my third base right now, but also I don't want this trade in the game. I want this trade IRL. I don't want the Tatis trade in game. I did it just for this video because we don't really. The team's already stacked enough. We don't really need him, especially if I want to play Kerry Carpenter. I can play Kerry Carpenter in left field or right field, and then have O'Neill as DH and things like there's things that I can do to like work this around. I also called up Jace Jung. I'm going to have him basically be trying to grow him into being a major leaguer. Rotating around with Nick Maton and also coming in at third base because again, realistically, I would much rather have Nick Maton at third base, Jace Jung at second, and then have Tatis in at left field because again, who's missing IRL? Austin Meadows. So I would have Tatis at left field, and Meadows just wouldn't be here at all because the whole mental health things like that. And if he plays, then then you can move people around, like move Tatis to DH, or we can make Austin Meadows to DH. That's awesome that you could literally make this trade, and then if Meadows is mentally healthy, you can have him be the Tigers DH. So he at least won't have to play outfield. Just things you can go with it. I got Justin Henry Malloy in here as well. When it comes to Jace Jung, Kerry Carpenter is like our young hitters. Burling also is good off the bench. He's very good against lefties. So there's things that you can do to make the Tigers a better team. And you can't tell me right now by looking at this. Again, it's a video game. It looks video game like a lineup, but you can't tell me this wouldn't immediately make them the best team in the AL Central. Immediately. Even if you take out JD Martinez, you put Austin Meadows and DH, assuming he's healthy. Then you have Tatis, you have Danny Jensen, Tyler O'Neill as like the key trades Tigers make. Just those three, nobody else. Just trade for those three. You can't say that with those three in the Tigers, they don't become the best team in the AL Central. So here's a full view of the trades that I made. So I made the trade for Danny Jensen. I gave the Blue Jays Tyler Alexander. I think he's expendable. I think it's a fair trade as well. For O'Neill, I gave them the Spencer Turnbull. I think I like Turnbull, but again, we need better hitters. We got a lot of good pitchers. Let's just starting pitching. Tigers have a lot of starting pitching. Especially think about Casey Mize when he gets healthy. Terrace Scubo when he gets healthy. You got guys down in the minors like Alex Faedo and Bo Biscuit and freaking Wilmer Flores and more like Ty Madden. There's so many people who have the potential of being a starter for the Tigers. I made some other trades as well, just like get some more minor league players for potential trades. So I got rid of Jonathan Scope in exchange for Forrest Whitley and Joey Campbell's last song with Fido. Both of them were going to get moved anyways. So it's more of like a long line to get rid of Scope, get rid of his contract, things like that. Then I also made the trade of Hans Kraus from the Phillies for Zach McKinstry. It doesn't have to happen. Both these trades are relevant. I just did them just to do them. There's no reason behind them. I just wanted Scope gone. If you're a Tigers fan, you understand. I just wanted Scope gone. McKinstry, I just did it just to do it. It didn't need to happen. It doesn't matter. Neither of these trades are trades that need to happen in IRL, except Scope. Scope should get traded IRL. When it came to JD Martinez, I gave up Zach Short and Forrest Whitley that we got from the Astros. Gave him up for JD Martinez. Again, I wouldn't even go with JD Martinez. I do think Tigers should go for DH if they don't want to put Austin Meadows at DH. Just doesn't have to be. It doesn't have JD Martinez. I won't be mad if it was, but it doesn't have to be JD Martinez. I think we need someone who's younger. We're the current reason why we need DH because Miguel Cabrera is aging out. He's retiring. We don't need another aging DH. And then the Tatis Jr. trade, where basically I just gave out Matt Manning only. But like I said before, the realistic trade would be Matt Manning, Kilbadu, and Jake Rogers or Eric Haas, assuming we get another catcher like Danny Jensen. Either way, you could if you trade Eric Haas, you don't get Tigers wouldn't mind having Jake Rogers start and calling up Dylan Dingler. So that's what I think a good trade situation could be for the Tigers. That's what I want them to do. I just want them to be aggressive. I want them to make some plays, be aggressive, and show us the fans that what Crystal has said is true, that we're not rebuilding. And the best way to show your fans that you're not rebuilding more is you make those moves. Your dad allowed Dave Dombrowski to do those things. Your dad allowed Dave Dombrowski to spend money, make trades. We had a great team for like 3 or 4 years, where for those 3 or 4 years we were World Series favorites. They didn't win one, but we were World Series favorites. And I'll take that. I'll take being World Series favorites and being a consistent playoff team over where we're at now. I'll take a winning baseball team who didn't get a World Series over a baseball team who just sucks. At least at that point, I'm enjoying watching baseball because my team's winning. I'll take that. I'll take watching my team win and over watching them be bad and being so frustrated with how bad they are. But anyways, that's for this video. Thank you for watching. This video is probably very, very long. I'll get you out to the next one. Y'all stay safe. If you comments one other, leave any thoughts have in the comments below. I've been your boy Newest. I'll catch you when I catch you. I'm out of here. Deuces.